Season 31, Episode 4 of The Ultimate Fighter just aired, and I'm going to give you my recap and my reaction of the episode. In all honesty, just going over real quickly is the usual. There was some cool little stuff in there, which I'll go over, but in all honesty, this episode was alright in general. It wasn't as bad as the last one, because last one there's like nothing in it, but I mean, this one isn't like too much greater in general. But just going over the episode really quickly, we have the matchup of Trevor Wells versus Timur Valiev. I believe this fight was supposed to happen on like episode 2, but then Trevor Wells got a cold sore on his face or something like that, ended up not getting cleared by the doctors, and they had to reschedule the fight. So that's why this fight is happening on this episode. At the beginning, we have Chandler and Connor's team conversating about what the weight should be at, because this fight was rescheduled. They had to make weight, and after all the cold sore stuff happened after Trevor Wells made weight, so they had to remake weight again. Connor went to 135, Chandler went to 144. Dana gets on the phone, calls Chandler, says, all right, we got to settle it kind of in the middle a little bit. They said Connor's team agreed to 142, so that's what the matchup is happening at. 142 pound catch weight bout here, because Timur Valiev, let's be real, I don't know necessarily how big of a fighter Timur Valiev is necessarily for that division, so I don't know how badly his weight cut is. Well, his first reaction to hearing that Trevor Wells was getting pulled from their fight was, I have to make weight again, so it must be pretty hard for him in general. So at least he is able to make 142 in this matchup for the fight, so it's not going to hurt him too much in this matchup. But moving on after that, for Connor's team, shows a training session for Trevor Wells, or just in general. We have Stephen Wonderboy Thompson coming in as a guest coach, kind of helping everybody with the footwork in general, helping his team. You can see Connor was pretty interested as well. Decent little interesting part here. There wasn't too much on this in general. I mean, it was a little bit of a little segment, 5 to 6 minute segment, and then Wonderboy was out of there. So I don't know. This was a cool part, probably a more interesting part than any part of the last episode. So pretty cool there. And then you had your TUF exclusive things on there, like your training, of course, like what I just talked about, but they show training for a very long time, and they show their backstories for half the episode, which is basically what happened here. Luckily, for some reason, I didn't notice this. Maybe it happened before or not, but they uploaded the actual whole episode, so I got like 45 minutes, so I didn't have to skip through the ads, and it was just able to go through, so I was able to skip through some of these parts. In all honesty, I guess some of their backstories are interesting, but I'm really more interested in their backstories if they make it to the semi. Like the next round, that's when they should do the backstories. Get some drama in the first round, in my opinion, but whatever, that point, again, takes up about half the episode of the training and the backstories. And then we move on to, I guess, going a little bit too far. Moving on to weigh-ins. They both make weight. They both ended up fighting. Pretty much how this episode went. The fight was actually pretty interesting in general. I thought it was I won't say it was a lot closer, but it was a lot closer than I thought it would be. Timur Valiev kind of got really tired, especially in that second round. He went at a very high pace, was making a lot of weird moves. He said he trains full-time at Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand, so he was like doing a lot of moves and was not defensively as aware. I guess they're both tired, so there wasn't too much of a risk there, but it was still very wild. Like, come on, Timur, let's little down a little bit more. But he had a lot of output. The stand-up looked really good, but what I said before this episode, and maybe I missed it, maybe I didn't, was that the first episode, it showed the preview of Islam Makhachev watching Timur Valiev train. I said in the last episode, if you do not see Islam Makhachev watching Timur Valiev train, that means he probably wins the matchup. So it was a lot closer than I thought, but I didn't really see it. Maybe I skipped over it, but he ended up winning. So good win for Timur Valiev. It was a lot closer than I think it should have been. In general, Trevor Wells is pretty solid, but I think Timur Valiev probably could have been a little bit more dominant. He gassed out pretty early, so it is what it is, I guess. I don't know what necessarily their training is, like how much cardio they normally get in. You did have to make 2 weight cuts, so they're both kind of tired in general. I believe Conor McGregor did want this to go to a third round, but it ended up not going. Pretty much the episode there. Next matchup, we have Carlos Vera versus Brad Katona. Pretty interesting episode, it looks like, for the next one, because Brad Katona, I believe, trains with Conor McGregor's team. Should be a pretty interesting episode. They show some issues with Katona and Chandler's team, where he doesn't really want to train with them, or he's not taking advice from them as much, and Chandler's kind of like standoffish with them a little bit, and Katona's like, I don't know if I really could feel comfortable here, because realistically with these groups, Connor had to either choose Lee Hammond or Brad Katona, because Chandler was going to take the veterans either way. So it's very interesting there. The following episode will be Lee Hammond versus Kurt Hollabaugh, so you should mark that one down. I think that one will be a very interesting episode for sure, because Conor McGregor's actually invested in this guy. Maybe he's invested in Brad Katona as well, but I think he's more invested in Lee Hammond. So make sure you watch that episode, because I think there will be a lot of drama with Roosevelt Roberts. That's where I think Roosevelt Roberts kind of screams in there, and maybe they end up fighting and the Roosevelt beats Lee Hammond, and then that's when I think Conor McGregor pushes Chandler. I think that's when he gets pissed, because I think Lee Hammond loses. But should be an interesting episode. I believe Carlos Vera is older than Brad Katona in this matchup, and he is supposed to be the prospect. So I don't know what's going on at this point. I would say probably about 7.5. This was an alright episode. It wasn't as bad as the last one, but like, I guess it wasn't. The first episode was more entertaining. The second episode was probably the best episode so far. Third one was the worst. This last one, the one recently tonight, that one's probably second to last. So it was an alright episode. Nothing too crazy happened in it, but it didn't have like the entertainment value of that first episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. Let me know what you guys think of this episode in general, and I'll see you guys next time.